It's Gideon Hay over here, and it's Pip Waller over here. And welcome to Cricket et al., the live experience of your favourite independent cricket podcast. As long as the podcast's been going, we've been holding a live event in Sydney every Test match. We're as organised as we ever are, as probably some of you will have noticed from the fact that the tickets actually said 3 o'clock start, but Pete always fastidiously believed that it was 4 o'clock. So if you were expecting us to start on time, I mean, seriously, you know us as well as we know ourselves. We never do anything on time.
Sorry for making you wait. I get Catholic guilt about that.
But
we're waiting on people to arrive.
Yeah, look, it's an Ashes summer. It should have been great, but somehow there's been something missing, hasn't there? I wonder if people are feeling the same way as we're both feeling, that there's a bit of a sense of all being dressed up with nowhere to go. Sydney Test, another dead test. Sydney looms. There's been sort of spasms of acceptable cricket, but a lot of mediocre cricket. There's a sense of anticlimax after the hyperbole coming into this series. Pete, have you felt the sense of disappointment this summer?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I think it's because I believe the bullshit. Everybody, we've sort of, as much as we sneered at Bazball and called it a Colts and sort of rolled our eyes, if it came off, God, they could really scuttle this Australian side. But yeah, they've been terribly underwhelming. And they last year, I said during the Border Gavaskar Trophy, look, that was a high bar. That was great cricket last year, and that the Indian series now has a fantastic vibe because there's such a big Indian community in Australia who gets along to it. Obviously, the English have got along to this one, but yeah, it just hasn't felt good. You were writing off cricket this morning, aren't you?
Yeah.
In the piece, it's all over. Test cricket's done.
It does feel like it's in its winding sheet at times like this. I mean, in a sense,
12 months ago it was all right.
Every Test series feels like a bit of a referendum on the format's future, and sometimes we can get a distorted perspective of cricket by the fact that we are in Australia, which has a Test match culture, where the game has a consistent, abiding popularity, where ticket sales every year are basically guaranteed for most of the venues. Boxing Day is an enormous crowd. There's a sense with the Boxing Day Test match of the crowd watching itself have a great time. But this time we set ourselves up for something great, and for the first time in a long time, I think we've felt a real sense of disappointment. Some of our colleagues in the English press corps are probably feeling even more disappointed than we are. Some of them have told us this story about the first night of the series. They all went out on the lash, where England was in an unexpectedly optimistic frame of mind. And by the end of the evening, they'd convinced themselves that it wouldn't be great for Test cricket if England simply demolished Australia, really. It would just be great if the series was just a little bit more...
A little bit more competitive. Yeah, if the Aussies could just lift up a bit. Yeah.
So England have had another way to undermine Australian Test cricket by two-day Test matches in the same summer, costing $10 million to the Exchequer.
It's a cunning plan. They've come over here and they basically destroyed Australian cricket. It's kind of like, it's a black ops operation, really, isn't it? We'll be so shit. Cricket Australia will go broke, which they're now claiming. Yeah. How the hell do you go broke? Can you explain this to me? You have 5 great tests last summer. You've had 5 average tests this summer, but you've sold out every day. How can you be going broke? I mean, seriously, what sort of administration is going broke in a situation like that?
Well, I mean, there's a bit of a fundamental misunderstanding of the way in which the finances work in Australian cricket, isn't it? I mean, for a start, Cricket Australia is a not-for-profit. It's not designed to earn a profit. It's designed to create a surplus, which it then disperses to the states. Now, if Cricket Australia wanted more money, it would just leave less money to the states. But the states, of course, will not accept that. The states are a kind of a bottomless pit. They're constantly wanting more money to do more things, to create essentially an ever larger cricket bureaucracy. I mean, it would be pretty easy to run Australian cricket on a profitable basis if there were fewer mouths to feed. Okay, all right. We'll hear from you later. Yeah. But just to get back to the Ashes series this summer, what did we overestimate about England, and what did we perhaps underestimate about Australia?
I think that we overestimated their ability to play the cricket that they played in the Northern Hemisphere in the Southern Hemisphere.
Sure.
I think we overestimated their cricket ability, not their talent. They have the talent, but it's the ability to actually play good cricket across 5 days or 2 days, whatever, however long it is. Even that's too much to ask, apparently. And we shouldn't just blame England for that, because it was Australia who shat in their pants in the last test. And as a English journo said to me this morning, you know, Perth was all the death of Bazball. It's all Bazball's fault, and Melbourne's the pitcher's fault because you guys lost. Yeah, not quite sure about that. What was the question? Yeah, what did we overestimate? Yeah, we just overestimated that Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes, they believed their own bullshit. You know, they had been locked in a room and got high on their own gases for so long that you kind of had to take them at their word a little bit, didn't you? Because I mean, I kept saying to myself, there's no way that can be worse than last time. They will be a vast improvement on that team that came out last time, but that was COVID's fault and all those sorts of things. But we swallowed the pill, and in a way, I feel a bit silly for that. Yeah.
Interesting. Brendan McCullum wrote a book a few years ago, actually about 10 years ago now. It's one of the very few primers on 2020 cricket. I think it's called 2020 Vision, something like that. And I read it because I was interested in reading about T20, which I didn't really understand. And one of the points that he made in that book was form doesn't matter, confidence is everything. And he was speaking specifically in terms of T20 cricket. What's important is not necessarily that a player feels in form when he goes out there, but that he feels confident to execute his skills. So he said it's all a mental game. It's not a technical game. It's all about that ability to seize moments. And in some ways that he has carried that ethos into the coaching of the England cricket team, that it is about confidence. It is about making the players feel good. It's about making them, because a lot of cricket is about failure. It's about equipping them to overcome failure, to throw failure over their shoulder. And like everything in cricket, everything is a balance. If that's a great idea, because every batsman is kind of haunted by their last dismissal. Every bowler is concerned about their last performance. But if you can feel right on any particular day, that equips you more often than not for success going ahead. But I think what may work for T20 is not necessarily universally applicable. You have to have a capacity for learning from your experiences and incorporating that into your game going forward. Pete, I'm wearing the T-shirt today. You were there yesterday. Well, you're wearing you were an earlier iteration of the Cricket Hotel T-shirt. We should have a toast to absent friends or soon to be absent friends. You were at the Usman Khawaja press conference yesterday. Tell us a little bit about the vibe around Usman's departure and how you feel about the prospect of his final test.
Yeah, it was a fascinating presser. In some ways, I felt a little disappointed by some of it, but then I went home and I kind of beat myself up about that because I think I was looking forward to the classic end of career, emotional kumbaya moment. And it's easy for me to expect that of Usman, and, you know, I want him all to have a group hug at the end of it. But I respect Usman because he's a contrarian to the end and to a fault. I suggest it sometimes, but he said, "Nah, fuck it. I've got stuff to get off my chest. I mean, and I'm going to get it off my chest, and it still burns deep inside of me." and and sometimes it's difficult to see things from Usman's point of view, and I'll never be able to, because I've never been Usman Khawaja and lived through that prism. But I like what you said about it. It had a touch of the Simon Kadich's about it. I mean, that was the greatest press conference I've ever been to, when Simon turned the lectern at the SCG press conference room into basically a machine gun turret and took out Australian cricket. I mean, there was blood on the walls at the end of that presser. There was a different sort of, there wasn't blood on the walls in this presser, but he made some very strong points. And I mean, we're losing a really significant cricketer, both culturally and essentially as a player. I mean, he is only 19 players have played more tests for Australia than Usman Khawaja. That's a really significant career, isn't it? I mean, and it came in those two halves. And he will tell you he should have played a shitload more tests. So, maybe he should have been in the top 10 in his mind. And I think at points you could argue that's quite possibly true. At other times I saw he was dropped and thought it was the right thing to do. Usman is never at fault. That's probably one of his strengths as a sports person, but and it's that selfishness of the sports person. But he goes through his whole life saying, "No, I can play spin, I can play spin, I can play spin." But every time there's a spinning deck, he fails, and he gets dropped, and then he gets the reverse sweep, gets a little bit of confidence, goes out there, makes that 100 in the UAE, and says, "See, I told you I could play spin." Well, mate, you couldn't. No, you didn't have that reverse sweep before there. I love him dearly.
Yeah, the mask dropped a little bit yesterday, didn't it? There was a sense that a lot of things that he'd been saying in his head for a period of time, certainly the last couple of years, finally got the opportunity for an outlet. It was a very long press conference, wasn't it?
50 minutes, mate.
50 minutes. Yeah.
But I actually didn't lose concentration,
No.
which is pretty remarkable for me,
No.
as you know. Yeah. I'd have played 2 New York Times crosswords in that period.
And you've got
make of it. Yeah.
Well, it was a little bit like an opening batsman. There's a sense of mano a mano combat about opening the batting. It does require a very secure ego to confront the equal and opposite ego. It's combative. You can often feel under attack. And I get the sense that was a bit of a metaphor for Usman over the last couple of years. And every player kind of goes through indulges in a bit of kidology towards the end, don't they? They have to constantly convince themselves that they're still up to it, that their game hasn't deteriorated, that the edges aren't showing, that the game isn't fraying, that they're still equal to the contest. They can still do the things that they used to when younger. And I got the sense a little bit of that with Usman in the last couple of years, that there was a bit of an interior monologue going on, that the world was ganging up against Usman, and that probably attested to the cumulative pressures of
he spoke about that
period.
He spoke about being an opener is a cumulative sort of wear on your mental state that you're never really switched off in the game.
Yeah, I like the way in which you talked about opening the batting, actually. The psychological burden of never quite knowing when you're going to be playing on any particular day. Turn up to a game, you're not quite certain if your captain's going to win the toss, you're not quite certain who's going to have choice of innings, you're not quite certain when the previous innings is going to end. The opening batter is constantly living on their nerves in a way that I don't think any other category of cricketer is. We have someone in the audience who'll be joining us presently, who has a profound insight and perhaps a sense of empathy with that experience. Would you please welcome to the stage our great friend of the pod and podcaster in his own right, E.J.M. Cowan.
Moving up. You're blocking my beer.
Keep you off the beers, Pete. G'day. Thanks for having me.
Isn't it great when podcasts blend? It's kind of like having a supergroup up here, isn't it? With Ed on the pod as well.
It's fair to say it's a fair crossover audience, I think.
Did you see some of the same faces from your love event in Sydney?
So
Yes. Yeah. It's all beginning to add up. Ed, you've been there, you've done that, you've opened the batting for Australia, you've had a long, high-profile career. You had to retire, you had to face up to mortality. Tell us a little bit about the decision-making that goes into the call that a player makes on their end of days.
I think it kind of falls into a couple of buckets, kids, and my experience was probably very different to Usman's. It was off Broadway. I'd already been dropped out of the test team. I'd had a few years to try and work my way back in, but really my last couple of years were played purely for enjoyment, and I actually had a chance to set my life up away from cricket in that time. And so I'm probably in one bucket. There's a bucket of people that never see the limelight, and they tend to finish angry, I think. They usually get dropped, or they're injured or frustrated, and haven't really been able to draw out their talent probably to as much as they would like. And then you have the greats, and you can probably put Usman in that bucket, where they do see themselves as infallible, as enduring, and often, there's a mirage around their talent at the end of their career.
Yep.
And it's fair to say that's been the case with Usman. His last 2 years has been poor.
Yeah.
And so I think the unwind for him is going to be more emotional, and I think we saw that yesterday because I know he keeps saying he's at peace. He didn't sound like a man with peace in his heart yesterday.
He wept like a baby when he went to tell the team.
Yeah.
He didn't think he'd cry, and it just came out.
Yeah. I mean, but I think the people you care about the most are the people that you're playing with.
Yeah.
And so you kind of gravitate to two people: your teammates, who you feel like you may be letting down by retiring, particularly, if it's true that Andrew McDonald was pleading with him to keep playing. We can maybe push on that a little bit. The mirage exists. And the other is your family, who have given so much. And then for them, click of the fingers, everything that they've put in dissolves, really.
Yeah.
Because the moment you step off that field for your last game, be it a test match, a club cricket, people don't really care. The train keeps moving, and you are at the station with your bag, standing there, looking up, going, where is everyone?
Yeah.
And that's a genuine feeling, and it takes a while to kind of reacclimatise. I don't know if that makes
No, that makes
sense?
complete sense. Makes complete sense. I hesitate to remind you, Ed, but I was actually there the day that you played your last game for New South Wales. I think it was at the Junction.
It was.
Is that right?
Yeah. Mr. Wrongen from Farwell.
You missed the Wrongen from forward, and I missed it because I looked down under my seat for something that I just dropped. And the next thing I knew was you were walking off.
Which is amazing, because I looked around thinking Sam Harper he can't keep ducks on a pond. I'm halfway down the wicket and thought, oh, well, I'll be able to make this one back, but it fell onto the stumps, and that was the end of the career.
Well, you said people finish in different frames of mind. You satisfied with the career that you got?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's unusual.
I think when I got dropped from the test team, I was angry, without doubt. I felt aggrieved. Most people do. I then probably felt I could have been repicked probably 2 years later and had that second resurgence like a Usman. Because my best cricket definitely was after I was dropped from the test team. I had to kind of reincarnate my game. But by that stage, I actually was just happy to play the game. And, looking back, the game taught me so much. The friendships that I made are enduring. What more could you want? Life goes on. It's too short to hold grudges, that's for sure.
Try and sum up Usman's career for us, because we've said, of course, he's a great player. He's compiled a hell of a lot of runs in a lot of different climes around the world.
He's a great player.
But it is a curious career when since his debut, I think Australia's played 152 test matches and he's played 88 of them. Now, this is not a period in Australian cricket that's been over-endowed with batting talent. So why did he miss so much cricket? Why did his face not fit at various times?
I think that's you're reading the narrative that is being presented, because he was a fine young player. So 2011, look at him in that series, pulling and cutting and driving. He deserved that opportunity. He'd piled on the Shield runs. He was the best player of that kind of generation, which probably included Smith and Hughes and
Yeah.
So he deserved that spot, but he also deserved to be dropped.
Right.
And the first 3 or 4 times, it was pretty hard to kind of point the finger and say,
Sean Marsh the first time, wasn't he?
"Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
you're testing
Ricky
me.
Ponting came back in. Yeah.
You're testing me." And I was around the team during this time. At no stage I think, "Oh, geez, that's an aggrievement."
Yeah.
We went to India. He got dropped. That was just a hard tour.
Yeah.
He didn't get picked for the Ashes to start with, then came in and got some bad DRS decisions. But that's the game.
Yeah.
The dismissal in Manchester stands out as a real howler. But you take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
And I would actually say he could have played a few more tests, but he probably got the career he deserved, which is 15th leading run scorer in the history of Australian Test cricket. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty remarkable. That is a remarkable Test career.
Yep.
And so he was a great player, and he deserves the plaudits that he gets.
I remember that player that batted with Ricky Ponting in Cape Town in Pat Cummins' first test.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was a very underrated period of play there on that last day where Ponting and Khawaja batted together. They batted extremely well in really difficult conditions. It was heavy overhead. It was swing, and they had, that was when that bowling attack was at its absolute best. They put on a big partnership. I think they both got about 60 odd, and then the sun came out and they both got out. They kind of missed out on cashing in. Remember, Pat and Mitch got the runs, but I remember thinking at that time, that kid's got so much talent. He's going to play a lot of games for Australia. But every time I looked up, he was getting dropped.
It was never a question of talent. When I played a lot of his cricket in his early Sec 11 Shield, he was highly talented, but great work ethic, great temperament. If you wanted someone to,
So he wasn't lazy as a
and that's why I kind of take offense when he says the ex-players thing. No one thinks he's lazy. No one has ever called him lazy. Maybe someone in the press may have one day, and maybe someone called out on the fence when he was carrying a few kilos. But the players who know him, he's never been lazy.
Yeah.
And so he was someone who knew how to bat a day, knew his game, knew where to score, knew how to defend. He was just a well-accomplished cricketer.
I've heard this expression quite a lot over the last few years, receipts. This idea that players kind of collect criticisms and actually use them as partially as motivations. Did you ever do that? And do you think it's widespread? And what kind of mentality does it instill?
It unfortunately instills us versus them mentality, and I've never seen it more prevalent than at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the day that we live in, that content is king and there's so much and everyone's doom scrolling, and so they're more aware of it. Because before you could just put the papers in the bin and have no idea what Roebuck and Atherton, all these guys had to say. And I think it's incredibly unhealthy. And the us versus them mentality that exists now, I think has promoted this gilded bubble that the players now live in.
Yeah.
That makes us see press conferences like yesterday. Because I love Usman, you love Usman, Gideon love. But one thing you said that is entirely true, he's never wrong.
No.
Okay, so I'll put something too. If you play 3 games of golf and have a back spasm the day before a test, do you think at some point you say, oh, maybe just that wasn't the best preparation for me? Or if I have a hamstring injury and I'm seen at the F1 when I should be doing rehab, just put your hand up and say, actually, maybe I missed the mark on that one.
Yeah.
But no, unfortunately, if they're saying it, it must be wrong. So my encouragement to the modern player would actually be choose who you want to listen to and listen to them pretty intently.
It's sort of an essential part of a lot of sports people, isn't it? David Warner's never been wrong about anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, tell us what David Warner's like, Ed. I'll get a beer.
Cut.
No, I love David, as you know. Yeah.
You,
And you've batted.
I don't hold that against you, Pete.
Right.
I'll tell you.
I'm a very poor judge of people.
Look,
You haven't said what he's like. Yeah. But it is a part of being a sportsman, is it sometimes not admitting those things.
Yeah.
You can't let the doubt in. It's a
fine line.
McCullum thing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a fine line, because I saw the greatest modern batsman that I ever saw, Steve Smith probably too, Ricky Ponting in my mind is still one. Yeah. He was never out. It was the wicket's fault. Did you see that? A handkerchief flew off from the guy up in the grandstand.
Yeah. And he's never been wrong.
Never been wrong, except there are moments of vulnerability where he would reflect.
Which you would have seen at the end.
And you would have seen at the end, and the way he went out of my superpowers are diminishing quickly, and so while I'm going to try hard, we're going to move on.
Yeah.
I don't know if the modern player has that in them. What do you think?
They're just going to play T20. Where failure doesn't matter.
So that I could not agree with him. But you kind of beat me to the punchline of there are now options.
Yeah.
The end is not the end because you've got the gravy train, and you know we can all hop on that if you so desire. So,
and I think the other thing about T20 that is attractive to the player is that it's not as psychologically injurious. Failure is swallowed up.
What do you mean?
In the chaos of the game.
There's no stress or pressure whatsoever.
Yeah. But,
none.
Yeah.
None. But they don't care. They don't even like the game. I'm being serious.
Yeah, no, that's...
they like being paid to play.
Yeah.
They're not the same thing.
You're in cricket administration. What's going to happen with the BBL?
What's going to happen with the big...
They're going to sell a Melbourne team. They're going to sell a Sydney.
They're going to try and sell the teams for sure.
That mean they'll sell two of them 100%, won't they?
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But it will happen, won't it?
Well, if we keep having 2-day test matches, Pete, and losing $15 million bucks, it's going to happen, yeah.
Okay, the real power base in Australian cricket's in the States. Is there enough character in the States to stop it, or should they stop it?
Well, they should stop it if they don't think it's best for Australian cricket. And at the moment, I don't think the case necessarily has been made. What the case has been made is Australian cricket is in a very precarious financial situation, and that will only continue after this summer. And these are the 2 summers that you're meant to make hay, and they haven't for various reasons. And so if we want cricket to exist in its current form as we know and love it, then we're going to have to find some way to fund that.
Just back to the Ashes, I was telling you off stage before that I had lunch with Athers the day after the Perth Test, and he said to me, for the first time in my career as a correspondent, I simply don't understand what's going on out there. The game feels very alien to the game that I grew up in. Do you feel a similar sense of that?
Yeah. I think I responded, that's exactly how I felt after Melbourne. Exactly how I felt. I was thinking, what am I actually witnessing here? I mean, this is a tricky batting wicket, but I haven't seen a forward defence. I haven't seen anyone get caught in the slips playing forward defence. I haven't seen anyone leave the ball or bat out of your crease and leave the ball and actually play some kind of tactical cat and mouse, or bat on your stumps, tactical cat and mouse for the bowler.
And you won't either, because I saw Steve Smith say today, we should have gone harder. That was our mistake, was not to go harder.
So for whatever, I don't know if it's, I think it's a bit of a cop-out saying the modern player. I think the modern player that is currently being encouraged to play 3 formats of the game, because there are players in Australian cricket that wouldn't have batted like that. But that's how we've set the team up.
Yeah.
Usman's one of those players, isn't he, from the old school? Willing to soak up.
Yeah. He is, for sure.
There's fewer of them around.
I think Usman 5 years ago, when his eyes were actually working, he would have batted a session or 2 for sure. He would have found a way through that.
You know, in the first 2 years of those 5 years, he was the highest run scorer
in the world.
In the world.
That's what I just
That's
said.
not bad when you got shit eyes. Yeah.
That's what I just said. 5 years ago. 2003. 23, sorry.
Did they play differently because it was a dead test? Tell it what's the mentality of a player in a dead rubber, a game on which
depends how hungover you are after the celebrations, kids.
Yeah. Or how much
you've played. It's a nice test. It's hard not to get out for test cricket. If there's 90,000 people coming to watch you play, trust me, you want to score some runs.
Yep.
Are they 5% off? I don't know. What I do know is if Hazelwood and Cummins, it's not as though we were rolling out the A1s.
No.
So that would have been a really nasty test match.
That's the disappointing thing about this summer. I can remember thinking at the start of it, well, England needs everything to go right, don't they? And then they might be competitive. Everything did actually go right for them. They were gifted huge advantages
at every single corner, and then they just handed it back on a plate.
Yeah.
They're not very good.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I don't know why you got soaked into the emotional terrorism. Just watch them play, Pete. They're not very good.
You see, I thought Harry Brooks was going to be the godchild.
If you talk to anyone about Harry Brook, about his time in Australia, so he to me is probably England's best batter since that great South African player Peterson.
Yep.
And it reminds me of like how he sets up. But anyone that played with him in the Hobart Hurricanes said he was in the bush as to how to play on Australian wickets. Yes. And anyone that was talking to Harry, this guy, this place suits you. Square of the week, he's like, oh, no, I can't get runs out there. I've got no. And so it kind of talked himself into this Ashes anxiety, and that's not a great spot to be. Do you think Peterson would ever turn up off a plane thinking, where am I scoring my next run? Absolutely not. He would have told you, go get fucked.
So it wasn't bravado so much as it was panic. So it wasn't bravado so much as panic with Brook.
Brook specifically, I think that's a decent way of putting it.
Yeah. Yep.
It's hard to be, and you talked about McCullum trying to amplify the confidence around the team.
Yeah.
The best way to breed confidence?
Yeah.
Going and doing it.
Yeah.
Not talking about it. You got to go and do it. And so it's false confidence, and false confidence breeds arrogance, and arrogance breeds complacency.
I think one of the things that strikes a lot of contemporary watchers or watchers who've been around the game for a while about the modern player, is that they don't play very much. They don't play first-class cricket. They sort of come and go from
Grand Prix to go to, Giddy.
Yeah. So what does that breed? The intermittency of competition.
Look, if you ask them, they say we know how best to prepare.
We need to be free.
We need to be, which across 3 formats I can't, and all year round. By all means, I get that, but you can also choose not to play outside of certain times of the year. So Mitchell Stark has not played in the IPL for how many years, Pete? You'd probably know. 5?
5, yeah.
To prioritise Test cricket. Guess what? He's played all 4 Tests. He's going to play in Sydney.
Yeah.
He's retired from international T20 cricket. He's made a deliberate choice.
He's prioritised his body, in fact, because that is the period of the year where his body goes into that recovery mode.
For sure. But that is a deliberate choice, as opposed to I'm going to do everything and chase this here and chase that there and play golf and do whatever you want to do and not do the work. And so there's a trade-off, and most people aren't willing to do that because they see a finite career span, and they're going to try and maximise their price while they can.
What can we expect in Sydney?
Why are you laughing?
No, just... I was thinking Pat Cummins is the pin-up boy for not playing cricket, isn't he? He's sort of like...
Didn't do it.
Honestly, he played that one test that I mentioned before that Usman played in. He got man of the match. He got a nice contract, and then he became for 6 years the highest paid student in Australia. As he was just going down there, just on injury payments for 6 years. And he's done it again this summer. Not only that,
last 3 summers.
But he's got even smarter because he's negotiated a new contract where the match payments are built in whether he plays or not. So,
cost per game is extremely
high. He's a very smart boy. He's very handsome too.
He is.
We shouldn't.
Is that a Gillette? Oh no.
Yep. And Lisa Carrera.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going to give you the opportunity to show off here, Ed. What's your average against Pat Cummins?
I don't know. What would it be?
100 in the Shield final?
Yeah.
2000.
Once got 100.
Yeah, I know.
Bowled
head.
That's actually why
it's about matchups these days.
Oh, man.
The game that Simon Caddick's bowled about 40 overs.
No, that was one of the SCG.
Oh, right.
Ed, when you played against Pat Cummins, was it obvious that he was going to be a great
Oh, yeah.
Test bowler. Yeah.
That was 150 outswingers, in-swingers. He had every trick in the book and a pace like you have not seen.
Yeah, really. Yeah, we haven't seen that pace for a long time.
No,
We don't see it anymore.
I think that game actually broke him.
You destroyed him. You destroyed him.
You can cut that out.
He took it off.
That's clearly a joke. I would hate to be one of those ex-players that
He was bowling off spin the next morning, and the nets wasn't everything.
that's exactly right.
So, Ed, Sydney Test match, often a valedictory Test match, often a dead Test match.
Worst wicket in the country.
Worst wicket in the country. Yeah, what can we expect tomorrow?
Probably a shower or two.
Yeah.
A wicket that probably the groundsman doesn't even know what's going to happen.
Okay.
And I think we'll get 4 days of cricket.
Okay.
I think we'll get 4 days.
Rain assisted.
No. I think just it will be a wicket that is half decent to bat on, and if both teams kind of get in the contest, then it'll be drawn out to some degree.
Any chance we might see a spinner?
Oh, please, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Honestly. Todd Murphy, please.
Please.
Absolutely has to play.
Yeah. This is one of those. This is one of those things where I agree with you. You really worry about Test cricket, where we actually almost every Test now we go, well, do we really need it? Yeah, especially if Steve Smith's the captain, because I don't think he really rates spinners that highly.
I think he rates some spinners that highly. Evidently, doesn't rate Todd Murphy that highly.
And then doesn't necessarily rate Nathan as well.
Well, I think Nathan is suffering from the Usman Khawaja effect of not particularly. He's got a mirage as to how he's going.
Right.
I don't think the revs aren't on the ball that we once saw. Still a good bowler. He's still Australia's best spinner.
Yeah.
But he's not the off spinner that I think he was 5 years ago. How old is he? 37. Of course he's not.
Yeah.
15 centimetre tear, I'm told, in his hamstring. I didn't know. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but it's a pretty bad one. Yeah.
Would you have picked Murphy or Kuhneman in the last Test match? Because it was a little bit of a vote as to who the next in line is.
It's funny. I probably would have picked Kuhneman.
Me too. Yeah. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
I had Kuhneman in front as well.
Okay.
But I don't see enough of them bowling. But I really rate Kuhneman. He's great, isn't he? Not that I don't rate Todd either.
Todd's young. I mean, the joy of Todd Murphy is 23. He's learning his craft. He's an aggressive off spinner. He likes taking wickets. I think the worst thing that he can do is play T20 cricket, because he comes back from playing short form cricket, bowling absolute darts.
Does he? Yeah.
So they are taking Kuhneman to the T20 World Cup, aren't they? So why are they doing that?
I think that's a squad selection. They need ball turning each way.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Short version. But I don't know why. He's going ahead of like a Mitch Owen or someone.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. How much cricket you're watching. How you sort of formulate your ideas, because the ABC Cricket Podcast, as far as I'm concerned, is a must listen. I think it's very pithy. I think it's very independent, and independence is very important these days, I think, in the cricket media, because there's a lot of dependent cricket media. There's a lot of agendas that get aired. You often have to look at why people might be saying the things that they are, rather than simply what they are saying. Tell us how does a well-informed cricket watcher who is not actually sort of part of the full-time kind of cricket industrial complex glean their understanding of the game and get a feeling for it?
Well, a couple of things. I still watch a lot of cricket globally.
Yep.
And if I'm at work, don't tell my boss, but I'll keep in touch with the Shield for big parts of the day.
Yeah. How many games do you have on? How many screens?
Well, you've got the super screen now on the Cricket Australia. You can watch 3 at once.
Oh, can you do that?
Yeah, you can. I'll teach you.
Bernard.
And so I still watch a lot of cricket. Obviously, I don't feel that far removed from the game. And I'm lucky that I'm on the border of Cricket New South Wales and kind of forced to think about cricket a lot. And you talk about independence. I think the joy of our podcast is I generally don't really give up.
Yeah.
I've got a job. It's a public service. Working for the ABC is a public service, make no mistake. And so why wouldn't you try and give people a view that you genuinely believe in? I'm not going to give anything else.
Who listens to the ABC Cricket Podcast?
There we go.
It's great. highly recommend it. Yep.
Thanks, kids. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Tell me a bit about watching the game what did you begin to appreciate about the game simply as a watcher that maybe you've overlooked as a player?
Interesting. So when I was playing, I never watched the game to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
I was watching the game to study the game. Maybe I'll face this bowler. You know, you're watching Jimmy Anderson playing a Lord's Test. Well, that could one day be me, or it is going to be me. What guard am I going to take? Where am I going to bat? How am I going to score? You know, like, so I'm in studious mode. Now I'm just in awe of enjoying the skills on display across formats, and, you know, whinging occasionally that the games don't go long enough.
Do you ever project yourself back into the role of player? Are you one of those ex-players who has the ability to sort of imagine themselves in the scenario?
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I've actually got no interest. If I wanted that, I would have kept playing.
Yeah.
I just enjoy being in the game, around the game. I had my time playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember talking to Mike a couple of years after he finished playing for England, and we were watching a couple of opening batsmen go out to bat, and I said to him, do you ever feel like, you know, do you ever sort of project yourself into those roles? And he said, sometimes I wonder that I ever did it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fair emotion.
Does anyone like to ask a question of Ed Cowan? Great opportunity for people out there in the audience to speak directly to this great man who played 18 test matches for Australia. Steve Bernard always used to say, after 20 tests, they become cunts.
Are we going
But Ed was fortunate enough to only play 18. Just finished at the right time.
Would have like one more. Would have been a Lord's Test. One more would have been just fine.
Yes.
What does the Australian batting coach actually do? Sorry, just to benefit the audience, having watched this summer's debacle and have been brought up knowing how to use your feet,
Yeah.
does Michael Di Venuto do anything? Does he not feel confident enough, having had a very small international, not feel confident going to batsmen and saying, it's pretty clear, you know, your technique against this bowler is bad? Or is it just, you know, let him get away with the vibe? Does a player ever court a coach and want
Let
advice?
me take this.
Do you want to put on your Matthew Hayden?
No,
for this?
no.
So point out that Diva used to be Ed's batting coach.
That's why I feel pretty comfortable answering this. So a couple of things. He's an excellent batting coach. One thing that he particularly coaches is how to score runs in different circumstances, not how to necessarily bat. And so there's an assumed level of knowledge technically if you're playing for Australia. That's a starting point. And he finesses that in different conditions against different bowlers. How are you scoring? What are you doing? Etc. I think, unfortunately, the way the summer sets up, you don't have time to work technically at all. What we saw the benefit of Marnus do at the start of when he got dropped from the team, we saw him go and work on his game and rekindle that. Unfortunately, there's been some regression. But can you imagine playing a test match and then having 3 days break and turning up in different conditions? You're on the treadmill, you're trying to just find your way. At that point in time, the worst thing he can do is say, oh, your bat's just going a little bit out to gully instead of first slip. That's a disaster a day before a test match. And so what actually needs to happen is the coaching needs to take place in September or August or July for guys to enact those changes in November, December. So if you're Cameron Green and his technique's at sea at the moment, you can't unwind that mid-series. You can, but it takes a pretty special player that's a Steve Smith problem. There's very few people who can do that.
That work that you're talking about, just because of the way things are structured, is now done with a separate coach, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Because they all have a bit like Watto's physio, they all have
a private coach or the state, they go back to state cricket and they work with the state. And so, unfortunately, the best batting coach in the country, which is either probably Langer or Di Venuto or something,
or Ricky
Ponting, they don't get a chance to do any coaching. And so they should actually, the best coach should actually be traveling the country, throwing balls, working out the technical nuances. And England, when they had their success, you know, like 09 to, no, but just as a team, 09 to 14, Graham Thorpe would actually travel the county circuit. So he was the Lions batting coach at the time. And he would get in his car and throw balls to Joe Root up in Yorkshire on the Tuesday, and then drive to Thursday down to Leicester to work with Stewart, whatever that was. They were coaching. But when you're in the cycle of actual test series, it's virtually impossible.
I heard somebody in the team actually say around Sam Constas, I think when I was in Sri Lanka, I said, there was a complaint like, well, we're telling him this, but we don't know what other messages he's getting from outside the team. And in fact, his batting coach was on that tour, but he also has Watto as a mental coach. So they all have a lot of inputs, don't they? Yeah. I don't think it's a bad thing to have a batting coach that you can call on and say, I can see his shoulders getting around a bit.
It depends on the quality of that coach.
The Costa's the guy, isn't he, who does?
Well, so you got Neil, you've got Sam's coach, who's a lovely young coach, but has had no real experience of professional cricket. And so at some point in time, that kind of taps out. So it's great for, this is how I'm feeling, what do you think, like a sounding board, but actually getting the technical development. You need someone who has seen it, learnt it, felt it, touched it.
Did Costa do it with Pup, didn't he? Did it with Hughes?
I think that's an oversell.
I think it's overstated.
I think it's an oversell.
Right, yeah. Okay. He was there for his debut.
I do remember something that you said to me, Ed, early on in your Australian career, because you had Justin Langer as a batting coach. He was relatively recently out of the game. And I remember you saying to me, he just gives me so much advice. I don't know what I'm meant to do about it. I don't know whether I'm meant to just follow that advice. Am I meant to choose different things? That observation really struck me. This idea of cricket as being a learned experience as well as a taught experience, that we don't explain to players or convey to players that they're up to them to lead their own learning rather than simply to have wisdom imparted by a coach and dropped into their brain.
There's no doubt that you have to be your own best coach, and you need to grab and have the ability to grab a whole range of information and put it into your algorithm and have some kind of output.
Yep.
And if you're simply just grabbing every piece of information, putting it in and expecting something other than chaos, you're going to have some pretty scrambled moments. And so understanding what's important, what are the basics of the game, that technical basis. When you look at Cameron Green's batting, that's what I'm talking about. There's no real foundation to what he's doing at the moment that makes much sense. And he's got to rebase that. And some of it might be advice that he's given, some might be feeling. People learn differently. So there is certainly some nuance there.
Questions?
Hats off on.
We can see. Excellent.
Good pylon.
Again, Pat.
Listen to the podcast before it goes.
G'day, Ed. New South Wales cricket was really good in the 90s. There was marketing, North Sydney Oval. It was great. Why is there no online store for New South Wales cricket? And why do we not market the Blues like rugby league does?
Great question. I mean, you can buy New South Wales merchandise at the game, whether or not they should probably sell it online for sure. But I'll take that as a comment, not a question. And the second, unfortunately, so even at the start of my career is the same. Unfortunately, the Big Bash is now where the eyeballs are, and so every moment of attention is towards that. Unfortunately, state cricket is a cost centre. It costs Australian cricket a lot of money. It always has been.
But it was there in the 90s.
I know, but the game wasn't a commercial game in the 90s. There was no professionalism. Everyone went back to work and did their best. Yeah, it's just a different world. It's sad. I pine for those days too. It's not reality.
What a beauty.
Yes. Over here? Yeah, sure.
This might be jumping ahead a little bit, but just with Ashes 2027, I'm just curious, do you think everybody's going to be 2 years older, we've got a pretty old cricket team. Do you think we're going to have the depth to beat England in 2027?
In England, who are a different proposition at home. Yeah.
You go first. I think I've been doing a lot of talking. You guys go first. I'll jump in.
Yeah, certainly they have kicked the can down the road as far as the regeneration of this team is concerned. I think as Ed was saying on his podcast the other day, though, for selectors, there's really no incentive to shake up a system. There's really no incentive for long-term thinking. You're constantly thinking about the next game because the cycle of games is so relentless. But change is coming whether we like it or not. I do think our depth is going to be significantly tested. We've had a glimpse of the possibilities this summer. They included Jai Richardson in the last Test match, so clearly he is sort of the next ranking fast bowler. He's got ahead of Doggett somehow. Not quite sure how he got ahead of Doggett. And you've got to wonder whether Nessa and Boland will be up to another tour of England. That, to me, sends some alarming signals. If Jai Richardson is the next best that we've got, I loved Jai Richardson when I saw him in 2019. He just seemed amazing. A kid with a physique that light and that elastic could be so quick. But now he's half the bowler. He's bigger, he's burlier. His action's changed. He's bowling low 130s, not really doing anything with the ball. If he's the next best fast bowler in Australia, then there's a bit of a depth problem, I think.
So what we do have is some amazing young talent, but it's going to take some courage and some kahunas to say, hey, Campbell Kellaway, Cooper Connolly, you're going to be in the Ashes in 2027. We're picking you tomorrow. And so we're going to get 18 months of Test cricket and actually rely on some these kids can play, really play. And there are certain kids that you see that you think, shit, that's Steve Smith or that's Usman Khawaja or whoever that is, or Dave Warner. But if we're relying on Marcus Harris and Cameron Bancroft, we need to move on from, the players of the last 5 years pretty quickly.
Jake Weatherald, what's your take on him?
I think he's a good cricketer. I think what Test cricket has exposed is there is a little technical flaw, and there's no hiding in Test cricket. And for the reason that we just discussed, it compounds very quickly, probably exponentially. I guess most compounding actually happens exponentially. So, that's
like an investment banker.
But what we're seeing, just to kind of play this out, is someone very strong square of the wicket who has a little blind spot with the way he sets up, between middle and leg and full. And as a left-hander, that's pretty natural. We've all battled with that. But if that doesn't change, word gets out pretty quick. These games are broadcast around the world. You have someone with a little bit of airspeed that can hit that blind spot. And unfortunately, in Test cricket, if you don't fix that, you don't get to go on the next tour, or you don't get that opportunity to play Bangladesh and Darwin. So he needs some runs, without doubt. But I like him as a cricketer. I like the fact that they picked the leading Shield run scorer of last year. The domestic players need something to excite them that isn't a T20 contract. And if they can say, I'm going to get 1,000 runs, I get to play Test cricket, there's something in that.
One more, Pro 10.
Thank you. Ben Stokes has been something of a warrior as a player. How do you rate him as a captain for this tour, as a strategist, as a tactician, and how the team seem to be responding to him?
Is that to me, or I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking?
I'm glad we brought you along. We should do this every week.
Look, I think sometimes I'm a big believer in captaincy is less about the on-field tactics and more about managing the people off the field. George Bailey, who was probably one of the great captains I played under, maybe the best, he said captaincy starts at 6 and finishes at 10, as in 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. Michael Clarke had the opposite view. Captaincy started at 10 a.m. and finished at 6 p.m. The moving the field, and maybe it's a 5% thing here or there, but do you honestly think Ben Stokes is going to Gus Atkinson, hey, if you just bowl this cut shot over and over and over and over again and watch the ball go for 4, that's great, but of course not. So you're only as good as the cattle you've got, and the little nuances tend to happen when the game is running flat or against you. when the game's over in 2 days, there's no such thing as tactics. It's like, there's the ball and catch it. And so, yeah, I think his captaincy's been a little flat, but it's kind of hard to gauge, to be honest. I don't know if you guys have a view.
I think he's clearly he had a galvanic effect on that team when he took it over in 2022, and in a sense, I think he'd already been the dominant personality in the dressing room. He was the player to which the other England players all instinctively looked in times of crisis. He was the one who could lift them all. So, kind of making him captain was inevitable, and a recognition of the primacy that he already enjoyed. At stages during this summer, he's looked like. I mean, he doesn't hide his how he's seeing the game at any particular time. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I wonder about the impact of that on his players. To look across at their captain, and he seems like a figure in torment, throwing himself physically he throws himself on every bomb. And there is a limit to that kind of captaincy. It uses the captain up, and it ceases to have an inspirational quality about it. There are diminishing returns to that kind of captaincy, and we've seen its limitations on this tour. I think another aspect of good captains is their capacity to stand aside and take in a holistic perspective of the game and where the team is at. And I think sometimes Stokes is so close to the middle of every battle, he finds it difficult to achieve that attitude of disinterest. Not uninterest, but disinterest. Pete?
I was, Adelaide, fascinated by the fact that he actually couldn't show up anymore.
Yeah.
He didn't bowl on that day, that day when everything was in the balance. I'd love to know what was going on, because that's the last thing you'd ever expect from Stokes is not to show up, not to actually, in fact, my knock on him is that he's always shouldered too much burden. And he needed that disinterest, as you say. But when the crunch moment came in this series, he couldn't do it anymore. He didn't bowl. Were you watching that at the time? Yeah, it was strange to me. You didn't find it strange?
Well, I thought he was injured. I thought that was him done.
But he wasn't, was he?
He wasn't.
No, I know, but
that was the only explanation.
That was my explanation. He's done.
Well, and he said, no, I just couldn't do it because I felt like I'd break in half.
Yeah.
The key dynamic, I think, in any contemporary cricket side these days is the relationship between captain and coach. And it's great that McCullum and Stokes' views have been so aligned over the last few years, but I do wonder about the health of a relationship where they simply kind of reinforce one another's attitudes. Yeah. Is there an ability to stand aside and make a kind of an independent assessment of where the team is at? Well, maybe they will after the end of the series, but they don't have a lot of time because everyone's piling into the team bus and they're off to the T20 World Cup, but it's very difficult to make changes in those circumstances. Anyway, so now we're all three of us up here, we're all players, aren't we?
No.
Well, Ed, when was your last game of cricket?
2 seasons ago, I played a charity game, the SCG. That was the first time we picked up a bat in 8 years.
Yep. Pete, your last?
1988, Brunswick Street Oval.
Yeah.
Got hit for 6 by Bill Ponsford's granddaughter. Gave up.
Okay, right. Okay, right.
Over my head.
Okay, right.
Oh, fuck that. I'll take up journalism. Can't be that hard. Yeah.
I had a net a couple of days ago with my teammates at the Arrows, and I'll be back after Christmas to I'll be playing not this weekend but next weekend. But the person who has most recently played cricket, I think, in this gathering is with us today, and he's about to join us on stage. Now, who would have guessed that one of Australia's leading actors would be its most recent cricketer? Welcome to the stage, Rhys Muldoon.
You don't never say. Thanks very much, Git. Thanks, chaps. Let's talk cricket.
Let's talk cricket. So tell us, Rhys, you're playing today.
Yes.
At Birch Grove Oval.
Correct.
Tell us, how did you go?
Well, firstly, I was the umpire for 90% of the game, which was just awesome. And then just to wind it up, I got 2 off 4 balls. That was the game.
Right.
But I'd like to go back to
I'm
Usman
amazed that you couldn't
Khawaja.
tell us that upstairs
I
when I asked you how you'd gone. I thought you had
Who wants
something
to say 2
huge
for
up your
4?
sleeve.
No. I'd like to talk about Usman Khawaja and the hour-long hell ride that was that interview. And it leads to a bigger picture about cricket and the game and the future of Test cricket.
Sure.
Watching Usman Khawaja like, for that hour be that angry, that's a guy who's played golf for 4 days. I don't know how many of you have played golf, but golf is just walking around for 8 hours with a voice in your head saying, you're a fuckwit. That's what golf does. All it does is tell you you're an idiot and you're a loser, right? If I was the Australian captain, I wouldn't let one player touch that game. I wouldn't let them pick up a club unless it's off season. Like, it's just the worst thing you could play before playing a game of cricket, honestly. And I'm not surprised he was furious.
Yeah, didn't you play yesterday? Didn't you play golf yesterday?
Yeah.
With your teammates, your former teammates from Nottinghamshire?
I
Is
did.
that
We
right?
had an absolute laugh. Broad, Lum, and Swan.
Yep.
Very funny day.
Good golfers?
Not bad. Swan thinks he's better than he is.
What a surprise.
Yeah. There it is. Funny, though. Jeez, he made me laugh. He's a funny fella.
Now, do you think, what if Usman Khawaja had come out and shown his golf card for each of those 4 games? Then it would make all a bit more sense. Each 15 minutes of anger where you'd go, oh, yeah, right. Bogey, double bogey, double bogey, all the way.
So did you watch the presser? Or did you?
Yeah, I saw a chunk of the
Yeah,
presser.
right,
I mean, I gave up
Yeah.
after a bit.
So what did you
yeah.
think of it? How would you mark it as a performance?
As a well, I thought it was like, honestly, I thought
Yeah.
if I'm going to be really frank, I would have pulled it back a bit.
Was it like Marlon Brando in Streetcar Named Desire?
No, because he could act.
Yeah, right, okay. Right.
No, it was, yeah, exactly. But it was just pull it back. Like, he was so raw and naked and kind of too much. It was like, do that at home. Don't do it on telly. Do you know what I mean? It just I felt for him. I just was like, dude, like, an hour's a long time to talk on the telly. You know, just even sitting up here talking if we just sat here talking for an hour about whatever the hell it was, you'd be going like, geez, an hour's going on for a fucking, come on. You know, I could have a piss.
You'd pull it
You know,
off.
there's a
Rhys.
bus
You'd
coming.
pull it off.
You know what I mean? But like, I felt for the guy, you know. But back to the thing about with the one thing that we haven't touched on too is BBL, which is like, when you're talking about the future of Test players and all that, we're pouring all of these great cricketers into the toilet that is BBL. It's like a kind of giant Amsterdam brothel, and we're just pouring them in there, you know, $5 hand jobs, you know. Like, it's just disgraceful. Like, it is just, have you ever been to one of the games? And would they ask you to wear a bucket on your head? Yeah. Like a KFC bucket? Where's the dignity in that?
I did see a Sixers hat over there. You're obviously not speaking to him. He likes the BBL.
Okay, but what about the names of the teams?
Yeah, right.
Like, none of them mean anything. It's all just the Hobart Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Oh, because so many hurricanes down in Hobart.
I don't know about that.
The place is known for hurricanes. Anyway.
Yeah, I've always thought there's something strange about there being a heat and a scorchers.
Yes.
Like, it really is just...
It's the heat versus the scorchers.
Someone turned the air conditioning on here.
So
Clearly, okay.
And don't you, with every single BBL game, all I'm doing is screaming at the screen, bowler Yorker, bowler Yorker, bowler Yorker, bowler Yorker. And that's it.
Yeah. So clearly, the BBL is not for you, but
No.
the Sydney Test match is for you.
Absolutely. It's actually my favourite Test match of the entire year. It feels like the people's ground, and I really mean that, because, you can just bump into it doesn't feel as sort of tight security and separated as other tests. It just feels more kind of other people disagree. I mean, okay. But I'm just saying I got members and shit, so. No, I don't. I actually don't. But I always get given a member's ticket from somebody. But no, I just like the vibe of the place, and it feels more, you're closer to the action, and it just feels more intimate, and it just feels like, like you could go and shake their hand after the game, which you kind of can when you're in middle, because they're right there and they're walking up and you can say hello. And all that kind of
Yeah, I think the other thing
just
I
like
like about the Sydney Test, somewhat in common with the Boxing Day Test, but I think particularly so with Sydney, because it is guaranteed at the same time of year every year. It makes for ready and instant comparison with previous years. You know, you're no sooner talking about the Test match that you're watching than you're talking about all the Test matches of yesteryear. It's very, I think, maybe particularly because it's towards the end of summer. It's the last right of our Test match summer. There is something that you're always left with to go away with at the end of the game, no matter whether it's alive or dead. Yeah.
And well, we were there for, when Steve Waugh, when Steve Waugh's last, when he finally walked off, and that was, I remember the tears. Like, I was just shattered, seeing like Tugger just walking on. You just go, I'm never going to see him again. Because like Test players are part of your life for so long. Yeah. And you kind of remember giant chunks of your life from Test cricket. You just do. And you go, and you're so connected to them. And, like seeing Mitchell Starc go this well this year, I'd kind of put him a little bit on the back burner, like mentally. Yeah. And look at him. Like I just love that redemption stuff that can happen with Test cricket. Yes. And you don't have to wear a fucking bucket on your head when you watch it.
Aren't you the voice of Australian cricket this summer? Do I hear your dulcet tones advertising cricket?
I did do the voiceover, but it's that kind of thing going, Australia, England, the Ashes, under lights, MCG. So I did a bunch of them.
Let's do another one. That's very good.
Yeah, thanks.
Frisson.
Yeah. I don't touch the BBL.
Yeah.
I don't touch the BBL. But but what they were doing, which was kind of sneaky clever, was they were trying to do that thing of going tradition, under lights, tradition. You know what I mean? Yeah, day-night test, exactly. Trying to break traditional stuff.
I read a review of your voice. You've got a vocal range from the deep and raspy, godlike authority. Can you give us deep and raspy, godlike authority? Yeah.
Fuck, what would that be like?
I know.
What?
Okay, hang on. Oh, fuck it like a whiskey. Look at that young fella. Right? I don't know. Deep and raspy.
And you've got these soft, supple, natural tones that represent the Australian psyche. Can we have a bit of that?
Oh, could you say that in soft, supple? Hang on. What?
This is. I read your reviews by AI.
Oh, Jesus! A top day for cricket. I don't know. I don't even know. Soft, supple. I don't know. One of you have a go.
Can you give us the housewives' favourite on Play School?
What's the housewives?
Yeah.
But I was always the naughty one on Play School.
Yeah, that's why the housewives liked it. Yeah.
No, but because I'd always talk to them like they're normal kids, like they're naughty little bastards, stop fucking around, you little dick, that kind of, more that kind of angle with the kids, which they all kind of, I didn't swear, obviously, but yeah, that was, you just play like that. Like you're talking to a kid like he or she actually is, rather than that, like, because you could tell, sometimes you get somebody come on Play School and try and be a Play School host and they do hello, I've got egg cartons and pipe cleaners and we're going to make something. And you just think, I give them one day and they'd be just gone.
So Rhys, how have you felt about this summer? Just bring it back to cricket momentarily before using it as a jumping off point.
Yeah.
How have you felt as a punter about this summer?
Well, one of the things that I found interesting when you were talking about with Ben Stokes and with Bazball, the best cricket England have played for this whole series is when they stopped playing Bazball and played boring, safe cricket. And that was when we all noticed they're playing Test cricket.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it was kind of dull. But you're going, well, at least they're playing proper cricket. And Ben Stokes was one of the first ones who actually picked it up and started doing it. And you remember how furious he was when he got out? I like that.
Yeah.
That actually touched me. Like that it meant that much to him. I was like, you're all right, Because I still wonder if there's anything in that thing with the English team. Does class still come into it? With, the Oxbridgey kind of stuff, I can't tell where the private school stuff sits. Like Harry Brook, and it certainly used to, like it used to be a big thing. Is it still a thing or not? I don't know. I'm asking you.
It's a wealthy person's game. There's no doubt about it. It's a game that you need a certain sort of financial resources to get started. Stokes is interesting because he found a private philanthropist who kind of bankrolled the early stages of his career when he was spied as having certain talents. I don't think he's ever actually named that person Isn't someone in Durham?
Mick Jagger.
Yeah, someone
Wouldn't
like
that be awesome if it was Mick Jagger?
someone who doesn't actually want recognition, but has been a kind of a paterfamilias to him over the course of his career. But I think yes, it is. It does have a certain class connotations.
Yeah.
England, despite efforts to popularise the game. Football rules the roost, doesn't it, in England?
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
And
yeah.
one of the sadder manifestations of the fact that football is so strong is that the cricket writing community has been steadily winnowed away. We watch that every summer that we go to England or the English press come out. There seem to be fewer of them than last time. I don't think the Sun has a chief cricket writer anymore. They barely even notice the game.
No, he left a few years ago.
Yeah.
He's part-time now.
In a sense, that's kind of self-reinforcing. If people can't follow the game regularly, if it's not being discussed in their kind of their social orbit, then the game will become a stranger to them.
The Sun has so little interest in cricket, it actually doesn't put its cricket articles online.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not even online.
No, it's quite.
Jeez, that's a sick country. Eh? Yeah. That is.
Well,
like,
the cricket in England is played behind walled gardens, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you say there's been an attempt to popularise it, but they'll be forever condemned by the fact that very small grounds with a very committed, wealthy patronage to those grounds, and they stuck it behind the paywall.
Well, I guess the 100,
Yeah.
the 100 is their attempt to kind of reconnect.
Does this not sound like some other country we know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I work for Channel 7, mate. You know, if that right. About seven.
Nice of you to cover 5 games a year. That's good of you. 5 games a year.
well, I just found out that I just found out that Channel 7 is now kind of like a virtual channel because they don't have any physical buildings. Like there's not a Channel 7 studio or anything anymore. So it's just a virtual.
So it's like cricket et al.
Kind of floats. Yeah, but you've at least got
pioneered
T-shirts.
that.
Yeah. But I
It's a
felt
way
that
of
kind
life, Channel 7. It's a way of life.
It's a way of
Exactly. That's a way of life. Who here is a subscriber to Cricket et al, by the way? That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Who here
Yeah,
isn't
that
a
means a lot.
subscriber?
Get him out.
You're an England cap
No, they're
too.
called-
Come on, what are you doing here, mate?
They're called future customers. That's it.
You're right. Okay. All right. We'll see you after.
But can we also actually speak? Could we give a little bit of love to London while we're up here? I mean, to England, because they're our favourite place. People to play, or kind of, if you know what I mean. Like, there's a connection between us, even though it's brutal. But we so need England to be kind of good and up there, and part of the mythology and the storytelling of Test cricket. You know what I mean? Like, they're so important to us. We love kicking them in the head.
They've won one test match in this country in 15 years. I think we kind of got used to them not being that good.
Yeah, I know. But, but it's that thing where, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that's hugely problematic. Ashes cricket can't go on indefinitely with
it's all
England
played
being
in
so
England.
ineffectual
Play it all
in
in
England.
England.
Yeah, and it all, I mean, it hasn't seemed to matter so much that Australia, of course, hasn't won a Test series in England since 2001. 2023 Ashes was a fantastic Ashes.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a little bit like the 2005 Ashes in that it really went nowhere, or it led nowhere as far as the construction of an ongoing sort of cricket dynasty. Bazball had a little bit of life in it left, but it seems to have reached the end of its natural cycle. Actually, that's a good question, Ed. Where does post-Bazball, are we in a post-Bazball era?
Oh, I hope so.
I
Not
hope
yet.
so.
Yeah.
Not yet. I mean, there's some talk of his job being under some duress after the World T20. But you got to remember, Rob Key is his best friend in the world. And so unless Rob Key goes, McCullum's going nowhere.
Yeah, they have to get Key first, don't they? Well,
Yeah.
because they've just signed McCullum up for another couple of years as well.
Rob,
I don't know if it's a team you'd want to coach after McCullum. So where do you go with that? A team that has been told how good they are, that you can't give any negative feedback to. So it would take a pretty strong-minded coach to take that team over.
Yes.
It's probably what that team needs in a way. I mean, that team needed McCullum and Stokes, that team that was out here last time.
Oh, without doubt.
Yeah,
Oh,
it needed that.
Make no mistake.
And you
that
get a
they
team
needed
to a certain
McCullum and
spot,
Stokes.
and then you need someone to get
That's right.
to the next spot.
You gotta
don't
keep
you?
growing.
Yeah.
I'm actually interested in the question of while we're discussing coaching and coaching attributes, It's interesting that coaches do seem to have a natural life cycle, that the coaches have to be change agents, and it's quite difficult for them to reinvent themselves after they've played their first trick, done their first trick. Who are the best coaches over the longest distance in Australia that you've worked
That's
with?
such a great question.
Well, I agree with the premise, except when you have a generational team.
Sure.
And so you could say John Buchanan or Andrew McDonald, but it just so happens that you've got the 4 best bowlers Australia's ever produced in both of those eras vying for that title. And so I think bad teams need change agents. Good teams need someone just to steady the ship, or keep a steady ship, rather.
It's that way. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a coach really stuff a team up? Take a good team and make it into a mediocre team.
BBL.
It happens every 3 years at St Kilda.
That's so true.
It's a
Yeah. Oh, God.
I mean, someone like an Anthony Stewart overtook a pretty strong New South Wales team and managed to fuck it up for a few years.
Yep.
We're not recording now, are we?
What was the problem? What was the problem there?
I just think a lack of experience and knowledge of how to manage people.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm trying to think of international coaches, and I can't really. Nothing. Maybe Kirsten in India.
Yeah.
Arnold?
Maybe Rusty Arnold. It's a tricky one. Sure.
Could I ask a question with coaching? Sure. So, like with AFL, they have, like a forward coach, a defensive coach, or this coach, or that coach. With cricket coaching, is there like the head coach and then there's, batting coach, bowling coach, blah, blah. It must be a bit of a team. Is that right?
Yeah.
So how many are on the team?
Well, it depends. You definitely have a fast bowling coach. You definitely have a batting coach. You'll have a assistant generalist coach that probably doubles as a fielding coach. You might have a specialist fielding coach.
Borovich. Yeah.
Then a strength and conditioning coach, physio, massage therapist, mail boy, kit dragger, passport holder.
England last summer made an effort to slim its backroom down, didn't they? They actually got rid of 2 performance analysts.
They obviously got rid of their fielding coach.
They did. Well, they haven't bought a fielding coach. Yeah, they haven't bought a fielding coach. They've bought an assistant coach in David Saker, but I don't think a dedicated bowling coach. They bought a spin bowling coach. I don't know what he does all day. Jeetan Patel. The idea
Public
was
relations.
He pushes the nets back for Bashir, so he doesn't hit. So he doesn't
Sure,
hit
it
them
wasn't
on the full.
It wasn't a spin doctor. It was a spin.
So it was a great theory, because there have been a lot of people over the last few years who've been saying there are so many coaches, the back rooms are so overpopulated that it's kind of infantilized the players. It's made them overly dependent. But it doesn't seem to have had any impact on England. Maybe the players haven't got the message about what they were meant to do in the absence of coaching expertise.
Well, I think it depends who the head coach is. You get a sense that there is no coach in the world that has an opportunity to say no to Brendan McCullum. And so to push back, to provide a new idea, and I've heard stories of definitely the sycophantic nature of their current coaching setup is, yes, Brendan, great idea, Brendan, good one, let's go for it. And so no real coach wants to be in that environment. You want to get players better.
Have any of you met Brendan?
Yeah,
And what's he?
lovely guy.
We were with Affable together.
Yeah.
When we were
On radio.
he's a nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good bloke.
Yeah.
Very nice bloke. Yeah.
They sound pretty scared, don't they?
Good bloke, great ideas. Bazball forever.
Does anyone have any questions out there?
Oh, look.
Would JL ever coach England?
Ooh, good question.
I think that type of coach would be a good next coach, but I don't think he'd do it.
No.
I think Flintoff's the next coach. Oh, good idea. Yeah. And interestingly, the word is that he is the exact opposite. His coaching is the exact opposite to how he played. Very disciplined, very strict.
Yeah.
He was laugh, let's have a beer on this, when he played.
Right.
But he's
No pedal?
he's seen the light.
Yeah, right. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're doing questions.
Yeah.
I wish ordered a remote, wireless phone, but I forgot.
It's okay.
We'll get the hang of this one day,
Everyone's
Pat.
ordered.
Yeah.
Year 6,
Oh.
I reckon I will nut this
Right.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
About the one person you haven't discussed, Cameron, swear word, Green.
Well, we to be fair, Ed has discussed him. Yeah, look, it is. We were saying upstairs. It's interesting how a player can kind of just drift over the course of a summer. You know, there was so much enthusiasm about Green coming back into the side. It was almost as though we were prepared for the second coming. You know, everything was going to coalesce around Green. It was going to be magic. We were going to fall in love with him all over again. Then for some reason we decided we were going to bat him at 3, like from nowhere in the World Test Championship final when he'd been batting at number 5 for his in Division 2 of the County Championship. He was expected to go up to number 3 in the WTC final against a hot attack, and you know it ended pretty much as you would have expected. He then filled the same role in the West Indies.
And got quite good at it toward the end of that
Got
series.
okay, yeah.
Oh, well, I was watching, and I reckon he really developed.
He did
into that
learn.
role, yeah.
He did learn. But I think we've said on the pod before, he's always the answer to the last question in Australian cricket. What role is he going to fill now?
Which was the Shane Watson
Yeah.
scenario, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah.
he was the answer to every question they had.
And I think he's very young. I think he's very impressionable. I think he's trying to do the right thing. I think there's always the risk with a player like that of kind of overthinking, not being instinctual. He's a very learned cricketer. He's quite a rigid cricketer. I think he's quite a mechanical cricketer. And when the mechanics don't work, there isn't actually a lot else to him. He doesn't have a lot to fall back on. So, you know, he started off this test series. I thought he actually batted pretty well in Perth. He shaped about as well as any of our batters in the first innings. And then he played at 1 on 5th stump and nicked off. So he's out for 20 odd. Then he bats very fluently in Brisbane, gets caught up in the heat of the moment when Cass begins to bomb him, and gets himself out. And all of a sudden, he's facing criticism for the way he got out. It was embarrassing, but you know, embarrassing things happen in cricket. But you could see the cogs start to tick. And then kind of in Adelaide, he gets two shots. You know, he just goes too hard at a ball. He's kind of trying to make something out of nothing. He's just come in, then he goes at 1 wide on 5th stump and loses his shape. And all of a sudden, he's in the shit again. It just happens so quickly. And there's no getting away from it then. You can't drop back to first class cricket to take a break. The atmosphere of a test series over the course of a summer is very intense. You can all of a sudden feel very isolated for only a couple of errors. Cricket punishes errors, and really dwells on errors in hindsight. And that's very psychically confronting for a guy like Green, who is, I know he's 26, but he's a very, very young 26, isn't he? He spent his entire life being looked after, being pampered. He's been in the cocoon for a long period. He hasn't had to fall back on his own devices very much, and now he does. And I think he's wondering really where his next run is coming from.
And yet, people who knew him when he first came into state cricket say that this guy we're seeing now, that's not the guy that came into state cricket. Really competitive beast from the get-go as a teenager. And you'll remember when he first came in, he was bowling
Fast.
rapid, real
I
rapid.
played his first game fast.
You played? Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, like high 140s fast.
He was next, like
Yeah.
Pat Cummins
Yep.
level, young bowler. Picks up those fifers, I think, in that game and in a lot of games, then does his back. And they say, oh, well, move up the batting order, see how you go. And he peels off 400s. I mean, he's an incredibly talented guy. This person who is very well versed at cricket saying it's just an inability to unlock him now. They need to unlock that young player. That, you know, the one that I was banging on about, that he's a player, he's the player of a generation, but he's turned out to be like Bazball, you know, he's still promise and no delivery to this point.
Sometimes the emotional baggage is actually, it's easier to perform at 18 rather than 26.
Yeah. The game gets harder.
Yeah.
As
The
you learn more.
the game gets harder.
Yeah. But
He looks like a kind of aging Weet-Bix kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, because he looks so nice, right? You know what I mean? He looks like so angelic and kind of playful, but he's turning into that guy, and none of us like seeing it. You know, it's just
A related question to Ed. Now, it's very he's extremely tall. I was standing next to him at Australian training the other day. I thought, I know it's obvious. I know it's we all understand that he's 6'7". Then you actually see him and you think, that must be a really difficult chassis to move around.
Yeah.
And the fact is that most of the great batsmen have not been that tall. So what are the particular challenges, Ed, of being that tall and trying to be a top order bat?
Transferring your weight.
Yeah.
And that's what
And so how Peterson got around it was he started low and actually didn't move his feet that much. He where Cameron Green is what you'd call a lumberer.
Yeah.
He's trying to move at the ball constantly, so he constantly looks on the move because he's not nimble enough to complete the movement. And so, Peterson got away with it because he started low and kind of shifted his weight into the ball. And, when he went back, and they both are great back foot players. But that would be the one thing that stands out to me is actually, and it's kind of counterintuitive, he needs to move less. When you watch him in T20 cricket, he doesn't move as much as he does in Test cricket.
Yeah. And I think he's conscious of that. It's interesting that I watched him in the Melbourne Test match and he's constantly sort of trying to sort of jog on the spot and kind of get his feet moving. But you're right. Actually, it's counterintuitive. I think he needs to move less. And his movements of the ball now have become quite jerky.
Very jerky. I
how
thought he
did
shaped up
Matthew-
okay in that test till he ran himself out in Melbourne.
So how did Hayden? How would you compare Hayden, like when you're talking about a big bloke at bat, to Green?
Again, why? So same with Peterson. They started wide and transfer. So not great for a little person to do this, but if you're tall to actually base yourself and transfer, and Hayden, was probably a bit more of a mover. But if you remember Matthew Hayden's the start of his career, down the line or Hoggard, LBW on the move. So this is nothing new for big people.
he'd be 3 or 4 inches shorter than Green.
And also 6'3", not 6'7".
Yeah,
Cameron Green's massive. He's taller than Mitch Stark.
More shoulders than
Taller than Mitch Stark.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's enormous.
Yeah.
We've got now Pat's making strange.
3 questions.
Yeah? Thanks, Pat.
One gentleman here, one gentleman back, and that.
Excellent. Okay.
Nav. Come on, Nav. What do you got? Oh,
No.
here we go.
Hang on.
Are we going Dave first, or are we?
He's got the microphone back.
Dave's missed out. Sorry. Yeah.
No.
Dave's come from all the way from England. I met him today.
Oh, good one.
Oh, all right.
Brendan McCullum, apologist. What's happening?
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic given what my question's going to be. So my question is Australia's best long-term strategy to lose in Sydney to make sure that Kia McCullough is still in charge in 2027?
You used to have it in tour games, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, man, great question. As a comment. No.
I think I did actually write this morning that tomorrow will be the first day of the 2027 Ashes. Some ways, it's both teams need to make a kind of a statement about their future prospects. I think Australia's had intimations of mortality this season. That they've got the job done, but they'll know it wasn't completely convincing. They'll know that if England had played better, they could have taken the game up to them. And England, of course, a 2-3 scoreline is a lot tighter than 4-1.
How many players from this test match will roll out for the first test in 2027?
Yeah. Yeah.
9, you reckon?
So who's out?
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're well set up for 27, aren't they, England?
Yeah.
There's not that many from
Oh, if they keep
Australia.
losing test matches, they aren't.
So, yeah. So what's the future for Australia? Weatherald, who's under a question mark. Green, under a question mark.
Yeah.
Labuschagne?
Just stop. Keep him going forever. Hey?
Kerry Head.
Kerry's got to stay. Kerry's got to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long will Smith play for it?
I've thought he was going to retire 3 times already. So he's refound his love for batting.
Yeah.
2 years ago, you would have said Sydney, he was done.
Yeah.
He was
I
talking about it, wasn't he?
Yeah, for sure. And then there was a lot of talk from the inner circle after the World Test Championship.
Yeah.
I think this move to New York's kind of reinvigorated him, just being a bit out of the bubble and being able to, prepare how he wants to prepare.
And they know that, don't they? They say where he can do whatever he wants in New York if it keeps him playing for Australia.
Yeah. That's for sure.
So he can go, he go there in a drinks break if he wants. You stop asking questions, Santa.
G'day. I just wanted to mention two features of the Ashes so far that I don't think have been discussed in any depth today. The first feature is how good Mitch Starc has been.
Sure.
When he needed to be good. When he needed to be good, he was great every time. The second feature that hasn't been discussed, which I'm interested particularly in Ed Cowan's reflections, is how well the Australians caught. Their fielding was just fantastic. And there was a sense that they were going to take every catch.
Yeah.
And so much so that you can remember the catches that they didn't take. Kawaja dropped a difficult catch.
Yeah.
Cameron Green dropped a difficult catch at Gully. But there was just a sense that every catch that could be taken would be taken. And I just wondered whether in an international team, in the Australian team, is that a team sense? Is that a team thing that the team works on? Building an environment where there's an expectation that each catch will be taken. Do you discuss it? Is the coach involved in promoting that? Because whether that happened or not, something went right for Australia in this Test series in terms of
I think, fielding is a great index of a team's cohesion, because it's the one thing that you do for your mates. It's an indication of how the team is kind of doing things for the team rather than for the individual. The statistics on fielding, well, they're a bit esoteric and they're not things that are kind of recognised by the public. I think this summer I love watching the Australians field. I think the catches that Labuschagne and Smith have taken this summer have just been out of this world.
Unbelievable.
And it's almost like they've visualised those chances before they've come. The anticipation that Labuschagne and Smith have shown in taking those catches going to their left, it's almost as though they predicted those edges. They were shaping to take those catches. I mean,
They'd rehearsed them too.
They rehearsed them.
And Labuschagne literally
4 hours. You think that happens by mistake? No. They catch 4 hours, and if you actually boil down the difference between the two teams, one team's been drinking beers in Noosa, the other's been taking slips catches. I'm being serious. Well, when you talk about preparation and willingness to do the little things, it shows up more in your fielding than anything else. And I actually think so. Two great points. Mitch Starc, undoubtedly man of the series, has held this team. Without him, Australia would have probably lost the series.
Yeah, probably best bowler in the world, right?
And the one moment that stands out in my mind, maybe because I was at the ground, but Stokes and Root were playing with their flutes out in Brisbane, and when Josh Inglis ran out Stokes from side on, picked the ball up, he's a wicket keeper.
Yeah,
I actually think that turned the Ashes series.
There was some design in that, wasn't there, Gibbs?
For sure.
Yeah. Anton Borovic was saying that they put Inglis in that hot spot precisely because, as a wicketkeeper, he's used to throwing the ball underarm and hitting the stumps. In T20, he's a T20 specialist wicketkeeper who often executes direct hit runouts from behind the stumps. So that's a position to put him where it's a high traffic area. That's the kind of detail that this Australian team thinks of.
Beers in Noosa.
You got to play Test cricket, which was pretty cool, but I thought the coolest thing you ever got to do was to do those fielding drills with Ricky Ponting. I used to watch you were doing fielding drills with Ricky Ponting. Mate, you were the most excited kid in cricket kid I've ever seen.
Imagine running around like a little puppy dog chasing Ricky Ponting, throwing balls because he was so competitive. Everything was for a bet. Guess what? Punter. And so every fielding drill was first to 5. I'm going to hit this one stump before you. First to 5, for a beer, for $50, for whatever. And so it was just
And it went on and on.
Forever and ever and ever.
You'd be waiting to write Ricky's column. And, 4 hours later, he's still throwing things at stumps.
One thing that has held Australian cricket together, and we can, bemoan the lack of batting or fast bowling coming through. These teams bust their gut around practicing their fielding. There is so to answer your question directly, there is an expectation that every catch is taken.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Do they get fined? No, they don't get fined.
They get humiliated and have to put up with Marnus going like that, with Steve, and it's that internal competition, isn't it, that drives it.
As Ed said, it's something that you can improve on. Every cricketer can improve on by hard work. When Trevor Bayliss took over as coach of England in 2015, first thing he did, that there was a player camp in Spain immediately after he took over.
La Mania.
Yeah, and they did nothing but catch.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let them go anywhere near a bat and a ball. They just caught, because he said the thing that has really let themselves down over the last few years is their slip catching.
Yeah.
You generate a certain number of chances. If you increase your success rate around those chances, you can improve your team 10%, 20% overnight.
Yeah,
It's
without doubt.
interesting. You never see, the catching cradle. You don't. Yeah, I haven't seen many of them for a while. Like just a bit of warm up. You know what I mean? Like
There's a good reason.
Great.
Little ramps. Yeah.
I had a park bench, like a garden bench that I used to lean back in the backyard. Have we got another question somewhere?
Nav.
Oh, Nav. I'm sorry, there's no time. We've run out of time.
No, this is hopefully an easy one. So, the wickets. How much blame do the wickets shoulder for what you said at the beginning, Peter, is an underwhelming season? Is a cash-strapped Cricket Australia justified in wanting to become more interventionist around pitch preparation? And do we end up as more and more private money comes into cricket, do we have to compromise and see 4-day test matches?
The old three-pronger.
Come on.
The old so who's that directed to? I'll start. Sure, I'll start with that. So if we just go through the wickets, I thought Perth was a good wicket and both teams batted pretty poorly. Maybe it was a half day underprepared, but maybe that's it.
Aussie said it was shit, mate.
Yeah. I mean,
he played golf.
Yeah,
that's right. The greens weren't quite as firm as the whacker wicket. I thought Brisbane was a pancake, and the pink ball sure it swung at night if the new ball was new, but honestly, Joe Root got 100. That's how flat it was.
Leave that in. Yeah.
Don't leave that in. But Adelaide was a phenomenal cricket wicket.
Yeah.
But still, 7 mils of grass? Or it was hard to drive until the third day, really. But both teams applied themselves because the series was on the line, and Melbourne, I thought, was probably 1 day underprepared. But not as bad as what was made out. Because there were moments in that game, as it turned out, the batting looked pretty easy.
Yeah.
Namely day 2.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's hard not to think that Cricket Australia may have, even thought, hey, let's leave a bit more grass on the wicket because then we can really push this privatisation through. No, did I say that out loud? Did I say that out loud?
Ow.
No, that's a joke. That is a joke. That is a joke.
Of course,
folks.
the biggest rumour going around all of that has been, which has made Andrew McDonald very angry, was that he was involved in giving that wicket the green light.
Look, there is no wicket in Australia
I don't
that
believe
the
it. I don't
coach
believe it
doesn't
for a
talk to
second.
the groundsman 3 days out and say, "What do you think?" And the coach goes, "What do you think?" Groundsman says, "I'm thinking about leaving 10 mils of grass." And at that point in time, you go, "That's a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Take it to 5 because, we fancy this. These guys aren't batting for more than 10 seconds." And so it's hard to believe. Look, I don't love the top-down Cricket Australia. They don't control the pitches.
No.
But don't believe they don't have a say in what gets produced.
Well, they said out years ago, didn't they, Pat? What was his name? Pat Howard.
Oh, yeah.
After the review, we have to have result pitches. That seems to have been over-egged a little bit and gone the other way to some degree, doesn't it, with the ball?
So Corbin, who I host the podcast with, makes a decent point. Is the modern player actually ready for 5-day Test cricket? And if that's the case and we want Test cricket to go 5 days, we should just roll out flat wickets because there's enough chances anyway. I don't know. It's not a bad thought bubble. I haven't quite thought through to the end point. Cricket Australia, make no mistake, they budget for 4-day tests anyway. So day 5 actually costs them money to open the gates. So they're
not last summer, surely. The last day of the Melbourne Test
That
match,
cost
they
them
got
money.
75,000 people.
No, but it was free, wasn't it?
It was
It was $10. It was a $10 donation.
They made it. They made
Day
it.
5, they hated it. Trust me, when day 5, we went in day 5, they hated it.
Yeah. Well, as an
asked
accounting exercise, it
$30.
might have been a failure, but as a coup for the game, that last day,
No, for sure.
Melbourne was
we're talking.
Yeah.
But you've got to remember the broadcasters. Obviously, the longer the better.
Yeah.
And there's some. I mean, whether it's true or not, I think Channel 7 need this test to go 6.5 days to break even on the summer. So I've got some bad news, Pete. That your salary next year, mate, might be slashed.
They 7 were devastated by the way that last test turned out, and understandably so. You spend so much. There is such an effort into producing cricket and such a cost. I mean, and they really do put their heart and soul. I mean, both networks do into creating a really good product. Yeah. They put themselves out there.
It's a great product.
I mean, and Chris Jones, the boss, I mean, he was bereft on that second day. They had their heads in their hands on the first day.
And the 3 days I had in Perth at the start of the series, I'll never get them back.
And that will tell next time the broadcast negotiations come up, because if everyone loses this summer, it's going to be factored in next time there's a bid, and we're already looking at diminishing returns.
Hang on, it was factored into this ride still. Make no mistake. On a real term, it was less than the last ride still, and it will go down again. So you're right, but don't think that they've been going up.
No,
they've been going down.
Further questions? Yes.
I should put my hand up first.
Not that you're bitter.
Yeah.
I guarantee my 2 questions will be one of the top 20.
Okay. All right.
First of all, if you had to put the 2 teams together, how many English players be in your top 11? And second of all, I'd like to know, do you think Aussie should open for his farewell test?
Good question.
Mm-hmm. Who would like to answer that?
You.
Well, I mean, obviously he's not going to. I mean, I think that's already foreordained. Would it be nice to see him do it? Yeah, it would be, actually. Yeah. But
he gets the applause by himself, though.
Yeah, that's true.
If he gets some red ink, if he bats low.
Actually, so the better question is the combined 11.
Sure.
So realistically, Stokes.
Can we go from openers down?
No, but
Stokes goes in ahead of
point
Green.
is, this is a very short conversation.
Yeah, Stokes. Ahead of Green.
And that's it.
I don't mind Tongue.
Well,
ahead of who?
Lisa?
Hang on. So Cummins is of this.
I say
of the series. So Cummins, people who have played in the series, I'm picking Cummins over Tongue.
Okay.
I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Tongue 2 tests. No difference. Rude. So hang on.
Frauds.
Toss of the coin. Toss of the coin.
Yeah. Anyone else?
They don't exactly stand out.
No.
I got a question here.
Yeah, to the front. Yeah.
The back, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
We talked about Steve Smith a bit earlier, and I'd just like your views on how he would feel about going back to South Africa after Sandpaper Gate.
Good question.
It'll be an interesting game.
I don't. I don't think he could cop any more abuse or have any more sort of humiliation piled on him than, in fact, when he returned for the 2019 Ashes.
Yeah,
that first we saw that up close and personal. And people like a pack of people twice the size of this screaming at him. We saw you crying on the tally, walking all the way back from Edgbaston ground to the team hotel in the traffic, just giving it to him all the way in the bus. He's developed. I don't think he can be further humiliated, and I think he's developed a way of coping with that. I actually believe that the whole New York thing is because he probably doesn't actually enjoy being around cricket people anymore.
Yeah, right.
Because of that. I don't know this. I don't know it at all.
fair theory.
But I think, he flew back to Australia to do that press conference, which was so emotional. He walked out the back door of that press conference and got on a plane and went straight to America. He came here to do the press conference, and that's his safe place now. That's his world away from cricket, and I reckon it dates back to that. But yeah, they'll be brutal because those yappies, they go hard. Oh my God. They're kind of like the Kiwis in a way. They are brutal at the cricket.
And when America's your safe place, woo, wow.
Hang on.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
All right.
Is it?
So this is Cowan, how much of a preparation is Sheffield Shield for Test cricket?
The question is, how much of preparation is Sheffield Shield for Test cricket?
So I say it made the comment before that Sada Shaman they score a lot of rails and their side it's now once. I've heard
Fair question.
I've heard Ricky Potting say Cameron Green shouldn't go back to Sheffield Shield because he won't learn anything about himself.
Yeah.
So
Depends where you are.
I was kind of asking about Cameron Green, and then he said BBL's shit.
There was an interesting article, a very interesting article from Mike Atherton 2 days ago. I mean, we're all writing things, especially if we've got a newspaper job, to fill up space. So we're saying stuff for the sake of saying it. But he was saying one of the threats about selling off the BBL is polluting a very simple and a very effective Australian cricket sort of ecosystem, with the 6 states, and they're as good as you get, and they're as close as you will get to Test match cricket. But you can't.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I think between Shield cricket and kind of an enhanced Australia A series or tours, I think it's not far away. I mean,
Australia A is an important complement to it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
With Tim Payne now coaching Australia A,
Yeah.
potentially this next Australian coach.
I think one of the other values of Sheffield Shield cricket is that it's an experience that players have of building towards a goal with a group of people over the course of a season. I think that's fantastic preparation, really, for anything in life. Grouping yourselves towards a common goal. This idea that you can simply drop players into development squads or sort of guide them through development pathways.
Drop them into a Shield game. So it's going at one point.
It is still fundamentally a team game, and it does depend on the ability to construct cultures and successful team dynamics. And that's what you're modelling, I think, in Sheffield Shield cricket, as much as you're modelling your front foot defensive shot.
That is a perfect answer. And, it's easier to gravitate to the individual going back to work on their game as opposed to, upon reflection, my most joyous highlights of my career were not Test hundreds. They were winning Sheffield Shields because there's 3 months of preseason, then there's 6 months of effort as opposed to a Test series against Sri Lanka. You play for 2 weeks and you come home again. And so it is very much, a collective effort and culture that requires success.
Yep.
Sorry, boss.
yeah,
Man in the other? Okay. All right.
the man in the
So Cameron Green again. So it seems to me the reason they give him so much rope is because he's the captain.
Did he pay to come?
Yeah.
Let's see your ticket. Prove it.
It feels to me like Green's the captain in waiting. That's kind of what they're trying to do there. Green, I thought
I don't agree
if
with
not him, then who do you think it actually is?
Alex Carey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carey, wow. Yeah, exactly. Provocative.
Well, can I just quickly jump in on that with Carey? Could we just speak very quickly on that great thing with Boland and Carey coming up so close to the wicket to keep, which was such incredible pressure on the English? I couldn't remember when I'd seen it before that. I'm sure you've seen it many times, but can we? That's it, Jack Russell. That's the only other one.
Jack Russell.
Yeah, that
Great piece.
I remember taking the high balls, Jack
I
Russell.
can remember
yeah.
Brad Haddon making a leg side stumping off Josh Hazelwood in a Sheffield Shield game in which you were playing.
Oh, I did play in that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, unfortunately, Hads was a brilliant keeper, but probably wasn't at his best by the time he played Test cricket.
Yeah.
His best years were probably 21 to 26.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've seen a better summer of glove work from anyone, well, not in my lifetime, than we've seen this year from Alex Carey.
Yeah.
And handsome as the day is. Oh,
Isn't he? Wholesome.
Wholesome. He's selling veggies in ads.
Woolworths and Weet-Bix and
Yeah, all that shit.
on him.
Sanitarium kid.
I mean, I would say that it requires a very particular bowler to be able to have the keeper come out. And that's a testament to Boland's accuracy. The Carey is able to take that position.
Boland said when it was first when he first did it, it put me off.
100%.
I
Well,
couldn't
think about
bowl.
what happened in England.
It fucked him up,
Yeah.
and they had to rework it.
Yeah, guess what? They've practiced it.
Because he also spoke about the blow to his ego as well. You know, of going like, you know, if the keeper's coming right up here, what am I fucking throwing chopped liver? You know,
Buying the small condoms. Yeah.
Man in the adder? Another man in the adder? A woman in the adder?
Sorry, me again. We haven't really talked about the DRS and some of the controversial decisions that went through this year. And is it a broadcaster's decision on, sorry, Pete, but it is a Channel 7. I know they go for the lowest, most probably cost of what they need to use. But there's been a lot of controversy with it.
Yeah.
It's terrible comment on cricket.
Well,
So fundamental to the game is outsourced to the host broadcaster. That's absurd.
which isn't Seven, by the way. It's Fox, but it's a reasonable. They're adjacent. Yeah. It is an absurdity that it's a very expensive piece of technology. Like it makes a significant impact on the bottom line. But I saw a reasonable point made recently. Like everyone says, well, the ICC should pay for it. Well, why should the ICC pay for it? They're not making a cent out of this stuff. They've got no skin in this game at all. So
But if their mandate DRS is used, then they should at least they should.
I'm happy to be convinced.
Just a further question to that.
So we're using the inferior technology. Yeah. Fox is using, understandably, if I was Fox, I'd be using it. It's cheaper, but it's it's not as good.
I don't understand why it's expensive. It's fucking slowing down some video and slowing down some sound. Why the fuck does that? Why is that expensive?
So you're right. It's the real time aspect. So the cheap one that they're using isn't real time. And so I've actually, in the 2013 Ashes, I was so infuriated by some of the DRS, including Usman's one in Manchester. I was like, take me to the truck. I was like, I was basically Michael Clark's glove runner for like 4 weeks. Every 15 minutes on the dime, you're out there. And in between that, I said, take me to the Snicko truck. And it was at that point in time, we're obviously 12 years on. Well, it was the most unimpressive piece of kit. They had literally a microphone and a camera and someone trying to marry up the two.
Yeah.
So the only real-time aspect to that was how good your producer was. I was like, hang about. What do you mean? So there's a noise and there's vision and what are you trying to do here? And so the expensive stuff is in real time, the marry up of the two.
The higher frame rate on the camera. They're very expensive cameras. That's
correct.
Right.
And more cameras.
And I was
you need 26. I mean, you need 26 cameras for the real-time Snicko around the ground.
So I was talking to one of the guys that developed all of this technology, and he was talking about 10, 12, 13 years ago, getting the call to go to the ICC and explain this technology to them. And he said to me, but we invented it for tally. It's for television.
Yeah.
It's to give viewers at home a guide. And he said to the ICC, what, you want it to make decisions in the game? God help us. I mean, we're not there. We're not there yet.
Yeah. It's about up there with ball tracking, I reckon.
It's Kristen down here.
He hasn't been spoken about much tonight, but Matthew Renshaw, what much more does he need to do to get a match for Australia opening the batting?
I mean,
I've got a pretty, I've got a straight answer. I mean, when he first started playing, I was like 100 test player. So I think he's an absolute gun. And at some stage, he will play probably another 50 tests. The facts are for the last 2 Shield seasons, average low 20s. And so we can all clap and cheer. And what more does he have to do? Put a season together of
Yeah.
scoring 400 or 500s, and guess what? He's going to be in the test team. And so let's hope that that's next year or in Bangladesh. He's a fine player, but he's been out of form for a very long period of time. So we can't, in one breath, say we got to reward performance, and then when someone doesn't perform, we want them in the team because they look like they can play.
I could never follow why he dropped down the order for Queensland.
Because it became fashionable. You can get picked to open the batting from anywhere. So why would you open?
Yeah.
Why would you put yourself through that when you can get picked from 5 or 6 to open the batting?
Yeah.
Or 10.
Question. Shane talk that to your accounts coming on it. I didn't mention say posters.
Sure. I mean, I'm probably half a turn bad. So Sam is an incredible talent. He is someone who's taking it on, opening the batting, and has resisted batting anywhere else. He's finding his feet. I mean, I think he's now seen the full cycle of going back to batting how he wanted to bat, not how we thought he should bat. I think Boxing Day was a bit of an aberration, and how he got to playing Test cricket was not ramping the second ball of the innings, and he just had a day out, and all of a sudden we thought, holy shit, and he thought, holy shit. And if you watched his 100th SCG in the last Shield game, he batted properly, and so he'll play for Australia again, whether it's the season after or who knows when. But a few more hundreds and actually learning the trade of opening the batting for long periods of time. He's a generational talent. Now it's a question of doing it for a little bit longer.
Hopefully that didn't break him, that experience.
No, it hasn't. I speak to him quite a bit, and he's pretty pragmatic, actually. I think
he's a grounded kid.
He is a very grounded kid.
Yeah, but Ollie Peake, did he make it?
What a player.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't say that for 18 and one Shield game, whatever it is, but you watch him bat, you watch Cooper Conley, Ollie Peake, Callaway, Constas, you think...
Jacob Bethel.
Not Jacob Bethel.
Not Jacob Bethel.
And there's maybe your 27 asses. Well,
yeah,
fair part of the squad, I'd say. Yeah.
But there's a lot to like. Interestingly, Peake, Callaway, who's the other young player for? Anyway, so before Greg Shipper was coaching for New South Wales a couple of years ago, he was throwing balls to the 17, the 16, 15, 16, 17-year-olds in Victoria after he wasn't coaching Victoria. And guess what? They've now produced 5 top-class young cricketers in the last couple of years. So it just shows sometimes the coaching needs to happen a bit earlier.
Yeah. We've got time for a couple more questions. We're working our way into the 3rd hour here. We've lasted longer than some English innings this summer.
Yeah, mostly Australian ones as well.
Okay.
Come on, Pat. Come on.
Just a 2-part question. One is when you're talking about Cameron Green in his height, how would you contrast him with Marco Jansen? And then the second one is South Africa have always said they don't want to tour Australia at this time of the year because they don't get money, but they're having their equivalent to the BBL at the moment. There's no international cricket.
Yeah.
How would we get them back in?
Staggering, isn't it? They're World Test champions, and they're playing no home Test matches this summer.
They have sold their soul, Gideon, to the Indian Premier League.
Absolutely staggering. And I don't think that's the players' choice, though. I mean, if you saw those South African players after that WTC final,
wow,
that meant a hell of a lot to them. They knew how important it was, and the South African fans were massively excited. There was a huge contingent of South African fans at that final. They'd come from their own country to watch this game. And there'd been a lot of negative publicity about the South African team. How did they ask their way into the WTC final? Australia, all they have to do is turn up. I suspect that Australia thought they only had to turn up, and South Africa absolutely outplayed them, crushed them all the way through. I find it bizarre that they are hosting no international cricket. I mean, talk about missed opportunities.
Hang on,
to give the South African public the opportunity to celebrate their.
So this is a classic argument of it's a public good, but it costs them an incredible amount of money to host Test cricket.
Yeah.
So cricket South Africa was going broke. Was broke, and they sold their, as you know, their T20 competition to the Indian Premier League. And so, guess what, folks? You're gonna get this outcome. So you got to be careful letting the wolf into the
Yeah, do you think that? Yeah, it's a warning.
hen house.
Anyone else?
I know.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yes. Yeah. I think the South African gentleman actually stole my thunder because that was exactly the question I was going to ask, which was the fact that South Africa is now the number one test team in the world. They've invested a lot of time and money in developing players, fast bowlers, all-rounders, batsmen. But we've reached a point in South African cricket where they are not actually playing a test match on domestic soil for more than 12 months. So I guess my question is, perhaps there's a broader discussion around Test cricket internationally, because perhaps it doesn't just apply to South Africa, but perhaps there are ramifications internationally.
South Africa always had to break off a bit of its summer and sell it, didn't it? I mean, it would come out here and play the Boxing Day Test. They tried to make some sort of take a stand on that, but realised that it was better for them to come out here. Yeah, you'd love to see, because it's been such a great competition. They're such a great cricket team, South Africa, over the years. But still punch above their weight. Yeah.
Well, this is the paradox of modern cricket is that it's never been richer, and that the wealth has never been more concentrated and or more unevenly distributed. And somehow, out of this ocean of plenty, we've created this desert of opportunity.
What's a monopoly?
Yeah.
I blame the administrators.
All right. Anyway, what are we? I'm just part of the bureaucracy. It's a sinkhole of bureaucracy. I think you described state fully.
Was it Kafka said every revolution ends and leaves behind nearly a slime of bureaucracy,
which is amazing for someone who lives in Melbourne so passionately.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I'm part of the slime of bureaucracy too, because I'm a committee member at the Yarras.
I hope someone's got a question for you about it.
I really think we do need to start winding it up, because we've asked a lot of Ed, and we've asked a lot of
Very shy gentleman.
Okay, all right. Yeah, sure.
No.
Oh, so shy.
I just before you got on stage, Ed, they were talking about the state associations being a bottomless pit. And you wanted to rebut it. I just wanted to give you the chance here.
I think Ed called them a cost centre, didn't he? Did you read that in David Beaver's report?
Domestic cricket.
Yeah.
No, I guess what I would push back against is the centralisation of how many people play community cricket or do play. Do you think someone in Melbourne should tell you how to play community cricket in Rockhampton or Glebe? So state organisations should run community cricket, and yet there are 200 people at Cricket Australia who are part of the community cricket program. So
Play HQ is $38 a year per player.
Don't start.
On up from 19.
Don't start.
Jesus Christ.
So something should be centralized, like a finance function or an HR function or systems, whatever. But actually delivering cricket on the ground requires state organisations who understand how people want to play cricket, where they want to play cricket, and organise cricket for them to do that. And so that would be my rebuttal.
Well, how much does Cricket Victoria do at community level? Not very much.
But that's their choice, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's their choice. So in New South Wales, there I think of so it's 30% of the population, and half the growth of participants last year came from New South Wales. Why? Because the state is investing in community cricket, in 5 to 12-year-olds, boys and girls who want to play the game and support the game for hopefully their entire lives.
You're going to get a yes/no answer.
Involved in community AFL.
Yeah.
And it's the same story. So Melbourne wants to dictate that happens in Sydney. It's a different market.
That's exactly right.
Just talking about AFL.
That's exactly right.
Saying every state needs to do its own thing. But which kind of goes to Auskick in a way. But is Auskick national?
Yeah.
It is?
All right.
Okay.
We're talking Auskick now. It's time to wind up.
I'm out.
Gideon, can you eloquently thank our guests and the people that make it possible? Yeah.
Oh, they've done it for you. I do want to say thanks from Pete and myself for your support over the 2 and a bit years of Cricket et al. It was a complete experiment. It really started as a means of me doing a bit of occasional writing after I left the Australian, Pete was still at the Oz at that stage. We had no idea whether it was going to work. We had no idea what it was going to look like. We just thought we'd have a go. And you people out there, as readers and listeners to the podcast, have helped make it worthwhile. We're very grateful. Please continue to support us. We've got a lot of cricket coming up. We've got South Africa later this year. 2027, we've got everything. It seems that everything's in the same year. So that's why I'm staying in little shit boxes around Australia to make sure that we'll have enough in the kitty to keep us on the road in 2027. We're thinking strategically.
I'm more worried about 7 months without a test. We could be running colour-in competitions.
So in the meantime, please say thanks to Ed. Please say thanks to Rhys. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye.